Most people today imagine Native Americans as purely nomadic people who lived solely in small, scattered tribes. But that's not really true. For centuries before European explorers first made contact with the continent, North America was thriving. There were more than 20 million people, and possibly way more. Because none of these societies used writing systems, most of the history of the cities have sadly been lost to time. But not all of them. Maybe one of the most impressive of those remaining are the ruins of the great city of Cahokia. From around 1100 to 1200, Cahokia was larger than plenty of European cities, including London. The city sprawled over 6 square miles and had a population around 25,000, with even more living in the suburban outskirts. The residents were members of the Mississippian culture. They built massive mounds out of the dirt that were all different sizes and could be used for all sorts of things. Some were small meeting spots or sacred burial grounds, while others were colossal community centers or ceremonial plazas. Some even marked Cahokia's boundaries. More than 100 of these dirt mounds covered in grass were dotted all over the city. At the center was Monk's Mound, a 10-story platform complete with 4 terraces, a wide ramp, and a big building at the very top. It was tall enough to get a picturesque view of the whole city from its peak. In fact, it was likely the tallest man-made structure in the United States until steel skyscrapers came along in the late 1800s. Clearly, whoever set out to build Cahokia had a grand vision for the city and made quick work of building up the metropolis. But why? Who decided to settle down and get to work planning a large new city? The truth is, we may never know. Maybe the only mystery larger than how quickly Cahokia popped up was how suddenly it seems to have been more or less abandoned. In the centuries since, other small settlements did crop up here and there in the ruins of the deserted city. But after 1400, Cahokia would never return to its former glory. Instead, it was left behind. Its story lost to time. There are all kinds of theories as to why Cahokia collapsed. Natural disaster, political or economic issues, diseases, and deforestation have all been named as possible culprits. But it's likely that we'll never know for sure. What we do know is that when Cahokia was at its peak, it was one of the more picturesque cityscapes around, with its grassy mounds, Stonehenge-like circles made of wood, large temples, and perfectly laid out streets. To this day, we don't have any idea why Cahokia formed, how it grew to be so powerful, or why it collapsed relatively quickly. And without any written records, well, that makes it a mystery we may never solve.